Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iori Folani. I hope we meet you well. Well, there was the news, I dare say cheering news, that was released late yesterday by the Nigeria police to the effect that SARS had indeed been put in check. Now, SARS, everybody knows SARS. In fact, okay, I'll just take this here. Let me take it from Wikipedia. As you know, anybody can write in Wikipedia, so it's not as if it's the gospel, so to speak. But the entry for SARS in Wikipedia is that SARS, Special Anti-Robbery Squad, is a dreaded, controversial unit of the Nigeria Police Force. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad is a unit under the Force Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department, headed up by Deputy Inspector General of Police Anthony Ogbizi. Well, he takes his order. The entry goes on to say that the DIG receives its directives from the Inspector General of Police, and SARS, as it is popularly known, called, and this is the nasty bit, and SARS, as it is popularly called, is known for extortion, torture, framing suspects, and even blackmail. While the police unit has proven effective against crime, it is believed that the unit is corrupt. SARS has become a controversial police unit in Nigeria since 1912. Now, that's a Wikipedia entry. And as I said before, even you, anybody, could go on Wikipedia and write whatever you wanted. Of course, everybody else is, allowed to go edit that, as the case may be. So it's either, it's possible that the police doesn't want to question that, or they haven't got around to seeing it yet and maybe editing it a bit. But my guest this morning, he's an old friend, Mr. Okechukwu Nwaguma. Okay, is formerly of NOPRIN, but he's not of NOPRIN right now. He's Executive Director, Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center. Right. So there you go. RULAC. RULAC, yeah. You're still very much interested, since we're talking about rule of law, accountability. Now, when the police spokesman, Frank Mba, when he released his statement yesterday, it went like wildfire because there were protests ready, ongoing, in fact, on social media. And in fact, all sorts of actions were supposed to be taken, all towards the effect of banning SARS. SARS had become a menace, if not a nuisance, more a menace. Now, first of all, I'm sure you welcome the intervention of the Inspector General of Police.
I welcome it with mixed feelings.
Okay.
Mixed feelings because, yes, it's an indication that the IGP is responding to public outcry. And then placing a ban on SARS and other special tactical squads from operating, routine, carrying out routine operations.
Exactly.
But this is not it doesn't go far enough. And this is not the first time we are seeing this.
It's not so much that SARS has been banned, is it?
No.
Is that
it's not banning
it is now
SARS,
constricted
restricting
to
the
act in
operational
in a
jurisdiction.
narrow operational professional sense.
Sure.
Including you shall not work in mufti henceforth.
That's right. So the point I'm making is that at the peak of the NSAS campaign in 2018, we had a similar response from the then Inspector General of Police, who came up with what was called then a standard operating rules to guide operations of the SARS. And part of the reforms then on the directive of the president was the changing of the name from Special Anti-Robbery Squad to Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, and then bringing them under the control of a commissioner of police who answers directly to the IGP. Before then, what obtained was that SARS were operating everywhere and were not answerable to the commissioners of police in the states. A SARS operative can carry somebody from Lagos and go to Abuja without reference to the commissioner of police in Lagos. So they were doing whatever they liked. But the point I'm making is that what this IGP has done is not different from what has been done in the past. In July, the same IGP closed down the state offices and bases of the IGP Intelligence Response Squad and the a special tactical squad, restricting them only to Abuja and placing them under the SIBS, Special Investigation Bureau. Now, all these bans are aimed to, rein in the operation. But the problem is, the atrocities these operatives of SARS and all these tactical squads commit are never investigated and perpetrators made to pay for them. Citizens complain every day about the experiences in the hands of these persons. Citizens who complain don't ever get to get results. They don't ever get to get justice. So they have no confidence, they have no trust that this measure alone will address the problem of impunity.
Okay. I suppose the question that follows is, the citizenry often says that government doesn't always keep the faith. You can't always depend on what government says, which is highly unfortunate. But in this case, such was the outcry all over social media, and that's another thing with the internet today. In the past, you'd have needed all sorts of hoops to get the Inspector General of Police to actually hear that you have a complaint. Now, there were coordinated campaigns all over the place. They just couldn't ignore it. Ministers were commenting on it. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar commented on it. Former Senate President Saraki commented on it. Just about the Vice President has since released a statement saying he's angered.
That's right.
In other words, it was a din. It became a din. And so in one sense, the Minister of Sport, Madari, I read his tweet that this government will not permit this kind of situation to endure. So it gives the impression that they weren't aware, but now that it has been forcibly brought to their attention, they are about to buckle up, so to speak, and get serious in terms of human rights excesses. Well, this is what you are saying, that well, you've seen this kind of almost penitent reaction before. Because of that, are you saying you don't put much stock on this time? Would you allow that? Well, these are different times. This is a different Inspector General of Police. The culture is different. So maybe the police should be given a chance so that we can all monitor to see if this makes any difference.
What we want to see is for the Inspector General of Police to demonstrate that he's serious about tackling crime and abuse.
Okay, sure.
And what it means is that specific officials, operatives who are implicated in acts of extrajudicial killing, torture, extortion, and all sorts of crimes must be investigated and brought to account. And the victims must be accorded remedy. When the ban that happened in June happened, the restriction of RRH and HTC to Abuja happened, we said that was a welcome development. But that was just the first right step in the right direction. It's now left for the IGP too, because we also gave him specific cases that we have been documenting across the country of operatives arresting people, taking them to POS or ATM, forcing them to transfer money to them, of cases of persons arrested and tortured and executed.
It was almost unbelievable.
Nothing happens.
Yes.
And we said, unless the IGP will take some cases and demonstrate that the police is able to protect Nigerians from crime and abuse, then it will be difficult for Nigerians to believe that this, because before long, it will back business.
I understand you. The police is quite frankly in a difficult place because of what you're saying, and a lot of, I imagine, hundreds of thousands of people will probably identify with the point of view that you're putting across. But SARS, unfortunately, it was set up in 2012, I believe.
Yes,
and they actually have their function, and they're not all, every last single one of them like that. It is unfortunate. I think it was the vice president or someone else, or maybe it was Dari who said so, that these people have tarred them with all sorts of unpalatable, things. But nobody's calling for the outright banning of SARS. It's the reform that has to be because it is the special anti-robbery, tactical, special anti-robbery squad,
Yeah.
you know, and they were set up for a reason, but it went bad. The police went to sleep, quite frankly, began to snore, metaphorically speaking, saying that, oh, we have a tactical unit out there. So what people, including yourself, are now calling for is that they have to demonstrate that they have woken up and that they are not about to either let this continue, or is it that the case is so far gone, because sometimes it happens like that, where such infamy has occurred in a certain place, for example, that the house has to be taken down. The structure, the building has to be, you know, taken down altogether, just so that you erase memories. Are you saying SARS should be done away with altogether, or is there hope that it can be reformed?
You see, the public call for disbandment of SARS, and I've also had people call for the disbandment of the Nigerian police. It's a reflection of the disenchantment that Nigerians have over the reckless acts of impunity perpetrated by these, you know, tactical squads. And it is because there is no monitoring, there's no control, there's no seriousness in ensuring accountability.
But I just said that there is a DIG, no less, in charge.
You also know that they gave out numbers that citizens can call to make complaints. Now, apart from the
and sorry, sir, in what Frank Wemba released yesterday, those cards that we're seeing on air, one of them actually says that, and that is item 8, the Inspector General of Police warned that henceforth the Commissioner of Police in charge of FSARS, Commissioners of Police in charge of State Commands and FCT, as well as the supervisory zonal AIGs, will be held liable for misconduct of personnel of FSARS and others within their jurisdiction.
That is good, but that is also not new. It was also part of the standard operating rules that were contained in the 2018 reform that the IGP carried out on the directives of the presidency. I recall also that at that same time, the presidency had also directed the National Human Rights Commission to investigate specific cases of SARS atrocities that made National Human Rights Commission to go around the country and conduct public hearings, received complaints and testimonies from victims. 2 years after, the report of that exercise has not been made public, recommendations have not been implemented.
So it looks like nothing has been done.
The problem is not making bans, or it is implementing, enforcing these things.
But as I said, perhaps these are different times. Perhaps, I use the word perhaps to begin that sentence. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Greetings to your guests, too.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, what has been done, I dare say, is cosmetic. Such pronouncements have been made in the past. It did not work. I'm restating what I have said before. What the police needs is reformation. The government should reform our police. They should do what has happened in customs. Uncle Yoro, when last did you hear about excesses or, large failures on the part of customs officers since Colonel Ali got there? You have been hearing about increase in their income, and their misconduct is no longer pronounced. Anybody that has been in the system of the police that we know cannot reform that police force. It is somebody from outside with new and, dynamic ideas that can reform the police. If the government is reluctant to do that, we might as well forget about police behavior. Okay. Nigeria has a rather high crime rate. We understand. But the way to deal with it is not by jettisoning human rights. Look at the pictures you are showing. How somebody is arrested and is already dehumanized before being tried. That doesn't go with the laws we have now.
Indeed.
Yeah, so the government should do the needful by reforming the police. All these pronouncements you are seeing, Uncle Yori, immediately the government closes its doors on the statement, they will come back to what they used to do. You said something that the VIP, former Senate president, even the vice president, and the top officials of government are showing concern as if they have not been aware of these things. That shows the level of disconnect between those who are leading us and the people that they are leading.
Absolutely.
They should sit up.
Okay. All right then. Thank you very much for calling in. Yeah, interesting point. So the police has its work cut out for it, because they have a long, enduring negative reputation. Frank Mba, he's an expert in PR and relations and image and all of that. No doubt he will be in a good position, and he's been through the system. He's actually been a professional working policeman through all of the things that we're talking about. And if indeed, as the current Inspector General of Police is saying, he's ready to do the needful, the police is probably hearing that people, quite frankly, have got to be exasperated, perhaps is the word, and hardly believe it anymore. But you see, this thing goes back. When the caller there, Mr. George, when he spoke about the situation being cosmetic and all of that, there's a sense in which you can identify what he says. Go back to former President Obasanjo when he was in office. He declared dramatically that criminals are recruited into the Nigeria police force.
Absolutely.
That such is the procedure,
and it's still happening now,
that criminals actually manage to find their way properly into the Nigeria police force.
It hasn't changed.
So the reform, you're saying beyond this action, which the police might think is substantial, you probably also are saying that there are cosmetic aspects of it.
Yeah, you see, apart from the complaints response unit of the Nigerian police force,
the police is your friend and all of
which
that,
receives complaints, and in spite of the paucity of funds and resources, facilities to deal with public complaints, they have been able to address.
I mean, you can't believe these pictures. It's like one is actually almost nationally embarrassed that these pictures are going around the world.
It's an embarrassment, and I mean, for me, it shows that you see like I was saying, a report was
Benga in Surulere. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, I would like to make a contribution. You see, the whole essence of this thing is, the first thing we should look at is, good morning. Hello?
Good morning.
We can hear you. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah, the first thing we should look at is, let's look at the caliber of people that is being employed into our police force.
Yeah.
Most of the people joining the police force are not joining because they want to have a career.
That's true.
They're joining because, okay, there's nothing else I can do. Let me join. I can get to collect 20 naira, 50 naira, 100 naira. We don't have professionals in our police force, really, especially those on the street. If we had professionals on the street, the conduct would be totally different. I've once met a policeman, and I was tripped by the way he addressed me. Instantly, I knew this is not a normal Nigerian policeman. We're saying, let's have professionals. Let's have people that are well-read. Because what's the prerequisite to join the police force today? Even if you drop out of school, you can get into our police force.
Yeah.
We're saying, let's have quality people being the police force.
So
I'm an accountant. I joined the police force. I can decide to leave the police force tomorrow and pursue another career. But what we have today is people that are people that feel they've lost it in life. Those are the people who take into police force. Yeah. They can't even communicate. They don't even know what the law says. So you're telling somebody that does not know what the law says to what? To implement the law. He cannot.
I hear you.
I'm sorry. You see a lot of our policemen on the street. They also look like criminals.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't conduct themselves well.
Thank you very
There's
much.
No respect.
Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much. If I heard you right, you actually did say that you also happen to be a police officer and that you are an accountant. And it really speaks to the point that there are very few professions, I can't imagine any, that are not within the police. There's an educated bunch. There are fine gentlemen among them. But, they are overwhelmed by these people that Benga has spoken about that are able to get into the police force. In other jurisdictions, you see people watching television know they want you to have O levels, and if you have A levels, maybe you skip a class or two. In other words, they're putting a premium on education so that you can actually learn what it is to uphold the law, and first of all, what the law is. But I have to contrast this with former President Obasanjo saying that criminals, he wasn't being sarcastic.
Let me illustrate that.
Yes, he wasn't being sarcastic.
You know, politicians are themselves to blame partly for the abuse of the recruitment procedure in the Nigerian police.
Okay, I hear you.
Now, a lot of them, senators, you know, public office holders, they also have their own list. And these are lists of people who don't meet the minimum.
It happens in every aspect of our life.
And many of them are not trainable. So when you're even talking about training in the Nigerian police, there are people you cannot train.
So it comes from this particular VIP's list.
Yeah,
so we must take them.
So we need to deal with the recruitment.
A call is coming from Abuja. I think it's Paul. Paul in Abuja, good morning. Did I lose
morning,
him?
Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay, yeah. So I've heard everything that has been spoken so far, and the contributions from everybody, especially those who made that code as well. So it is very unfortunate that the police itself is not making itself even attractive for professionals to even come and join the force. There are persons who would want to work for the good of the country to join the police force, even on the street. But because of the image that the police is bringing out currently, if the police brings out an adverse today, the majority of persons that will still apply are those persons, are the kind of persons that we have on the street currently today. So the image of the police is so bad that even respectable persons that want to apply for police jobs are afraid to apply, because if they find them on the street, they will be tagged. They will be tagged alongside with every other, in quotes, an armed robber that is on a black shirt or a blue shirt. So it's very unfortunate. So it's very unfortunate the way the government has taken the police for the investment in the police to even rebrand them nowadays. It is even very hard. I know how much they've tried to rebrand the police.
Yeah.
If the IGs in Abuja are rebranding the policeman in the village does not even know what is going on.
Okay. All right. Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in. Stay with us, please. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Sorry we took a bit there, but we're just looking at what sort of has boiled over now in the police in terms of policing our society, and now all the big wigs are in on the matter, and we've heard from reaction from you and from home that well, we've heard this before, so it's not new. In fact, people are actually saying that just till it blows over and then we'll go back again. But give me your impression in terms of what we can, what we, maybe, do you think the situation, the police, the society is deserving of another chance?
What we need, I think we've achieved a significant milestone in the effort to achieve police reform with the enactment of a new police act. Okay. Now, what we need is to develop a new set of standard operating rules extracted from the Police Act, and then ensure that these rules are enforced and complied with, and there is consequence for non-compliance. There are stakeholders that have a role.
So the concept of impunity that also gets into the police.
Yes,
people have got to be able to address that.
So many people have a role in the new law. They must play their role to ensure that the police operate in a way that conforms with the requirements of the law, and that those who go outside the law are punished according to the law. Otherwise, impunity will continue to be the name of the game.
I'm sure the police themselves are hearing this, and not just here, but quite frankly, this sentiment, I've seen it also on social media as well. So the police has to, as it were, be swimming upstream to indeed show that they mean it this time. We can't give up hope. Okay, well, we're going to have to leave it here for now. It's one of those subjects we really wish we had a lot of time, But there are other aspects of our lives that we also want to look at. So thank you very much, Okechukwu Nwaguma, Executive Director, Rule of Law, Accountability Advocacy
Center.
I don't know. So they never had see. Thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay then. So I'm afraid we're going to have to take yet another break so we can start the next subject. Stay with us, please.